Hey everyone. So I think the last video I made, or one of the last two videos, was about um, the euphoria you get with the delayed gratification. Because we were hitting all-time highs, we were flying high, we were doing great, and it was great. I was on top of the world. I can't help it. When the price gets that high, I can't help but get excited. And there is an opposite feeling. Though it's not really the opposite because my method still hasn't changed. I still hold. I didn't sell at the top, and I definitely don't sell at the bottom. Even though there is a part of you, a weak part of you, that wants to sell. But I wouldn't call it weak. It's not weak to want to sell in circumstances like we're in. What's weak is having bought something without the conviction that you'd need to be able to hold it in times like this. Because if you want to hold Bitcoin right now, you shouldn't have been holding it at any other time either, because you need to know what it is you're buying when you buy something. You shouldn't commit to stuff that you don't quite understand. And that's ultimately why the deeper you are into Bitcoin, the more you enjoy these dumps and these times of massive pain and capitulation, because for every seller, there's a buyer. And every single buyer at the moment is someone that is just absolutely delighted with the fact that they're getting coins for so cheap. Like, what's it? The 22nd of January. I get paid in 9 days. My salary's in Bitcoin. I'm going to get way more Bitcoin than I normally would. This is great for me. My time horizon is long enough that this isn't really a problem for me. Um, it's a problem for a lot of people, though, and the reason we get this turbulence is because people keep buying with an irresponsible, I'm going to call it fiat mindset. If you get into this whole thing and you're into crypto and Bitcoin's one of your cryptos and you've got some of that and you've got some ETH and all this stuff, the problem is you haven't really understood why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. And until you do, until you and everyone else that's got the same strategy you do stop doing what you're doing, we're going to carry on having these crashes. These crashes are literally people who don't understand what it is they're buying and getting shaken out of the market and having a terrible time of it. And do you know why I know that? Because Bitcoin has a bunch of hardcore fans and people that would die for it and would go down with the ship. None of the shitcoins have that. So, to that end, let's take a look at... This is, if you want to cheer yourself up, guys, and you hate shitcoins like I hate shitcoins, then all you got to do is head on over to CoinMarketCap and take a wonderful look right here. So, Bitcoin is down 18% this week. Ethereum is down 27%. Binance Coin is down 25%. Cardano is down 19.3. Solana's down 35%. XRP is down 22%. Sorry, XRPIS. I don't want to annoy the Ripple army. Polkadot is down 35%. Where's Dogecoin is down 24%. Great. I mean, if you want to... do you know why Bitcoin is always not down as much as anything else? It's because Bitcoin has a small amount of people in it that don't give a shit. They just want more Bitcoin because they understand the future belongs to Bitcoin. The future does not belong to Binance token. It doesn't belong to Solana. It doesn't depend on any ape JPEG. Shout out to Samsung for tweeting, who'd have thought the top of the market would have been JPEGs of apes? I mean, oh God, is there anything truer than that? So yeah, I mean, what am I saying? What's my point with all this? My point is that Bitcoin has something other things don't have, and that's why the effect of these massive cascading crashes is always dampened in Bitcoin, because there's a small amount of shitcoiners that run to Bitcoin, and that helps sustain the price. On top of that, you have the nature of Bitcoiners, or true Bitcoiners if you want, and I'll be very elitist in my outlook on that. Most Bitcoiners in times of extreme bullishness don't really care about any of the principles that give us Bitcoin, and that's why they get shaken out so easily. But there's a good 10 or 20% of us, who knows the real percentage, who will just hold this thing for dear life because we got kids and grandkids and we know that it's the future. So that's all good. We love that. But what happens with each of these ups and downs is you get a new class of holder. You get a new bunch of people that get burnt and learn their lesson and then stick to Bitcoin, because everyone that's getting shaken out now, that's probably this will be their first bear market, right? And then when Bitcoin inevitably recovers and starts going up to hundreds of thousands, and then, what happens after that is all the people that got shaken out now go, I'm never going to do that again. I got so badly burnt. I'm going to learn my lesson. And then when they buy in higher than they sold at this point, then they're not going to get shaken out next time. Maybe some of them will, because some people do need to be taught lessons over and over again. But everyone's first bear market was the hardest bear market. And now we're moving into times of, this is just teaching. This is teaching. This is what people are going to learn. So this is how people learn. Where there have been some just brilliant things on Twitter today. The McDonald's memes are beautiful. The president of El Salvador has changed his profile picture to that of a McDonald's worker. I'm enjoying that a lot. This guy can shitpost, as Greg says. Let's just make this some sort of news show, shall we? Everyone is on about McDonald's. Where was it? There was a great chart I saw earlier that just showed all the dips in Bitcoin's history. And I remember all of them. And I remember, I'm going to scroll here until I find it. But if I can't find it, then I'll just talk about it. But the first dip, and it was the one I first felt, which was the crash from $266 to $50. That was my first Bitcoin dip, and it hurt worse than anything I've ever gone through. I think I've never been so depressed, because I just had everything I'd owned suddenly fly up in value. I bought it like $10, $15 or something. My first foray into Bitcoin. It flew all the way up to $266. So I was up like, what's that? 10x or something I'd made. I couldn't believe it, and I didn't sell at the top, and I hated the fact that it fell. So, it was painful. Okay, here's a great chart that I want to show. This Glassnode thing. I know we're all mocking and laughing at Glassnode now, and I've never considered this worth subscribing to. But this is what I mean. For every buyer, there's a seller. So who is buying and who is selling? The people who are selling you'd have to be mad to sell Bitcoin at $35,000 after it was a couple of months ago at $68,000. You'd have to be mad. You'd have to be really unfortunate with your life circumstances. I'm not going to dismiss people that just need to sell for whatever reason. I've had to sell Bitcoin at awful times before just because I needed money at that particular time. Now we don't really need to do that. If it's an awful time, you can borrow against your Bitcoin if you need to, because those products exist now. But at the time, I didn't. So I've had to sell at some crappy times in my life. So I don't want to knock those people. Some people are just selling because they need to. But everyone else that's just getting shaken out now and is seeing the scam for what it is, all the NFT hype, all that stuff in crypto generally, and they're also getting shaken out of their Bitcoin too. I mean, who are they selling to is my question. And who they're selling to is dedicated hodlers that are contributing to this orange line here, you see, which is being referred to as the illiquid supply. So I don't know how much faith you put in their ability to get accurate data here, but I'm certain that people who are buying now are the kinds of people that aren't going to be selling very soon. There are some speculators, of course, that know you buy when it goes low and you sell when it goes high, and they're not emotional about it. I'm sure that's a part of it. But the kinds of people that buy now are very often people that just have a lot of conviction and a low time preference, which, as we all know, Bitcoin rewards very, very heartily. So I think, it's a good sign for the future. Obviously, I would like it if we were to continue going up, because just my own circumstances, my own life, it would be good if I was worth twice as much as I am now, and I'm worth half as much as I could have been. If you compare what I owned a month ago or 2 months ago, it's always nice to have a lot of money on paper, but I don't really put a lot of stock in that at the moment, because it's all a fiat denomination. Denominating your Bitcoin stash in fiat, you kind of get used to how meaningless that is. And the more zeros that get added onto the end of it, the less you care about it. It's really weird. Like, I cared so much when it was like a tiny amount relative to what it is now. I cared so much, and now I don't really care about it anymore. So I don't know exactly what my intention with this video is. I think I like how much fun the Bitcoin community is having with it, with all the McDonald's memes and the people. I bought the dip, but then the dip after that was the one where I really couldn't buy anymore. And then the next 3 dips, they really hurt. Like it I don't know. I want to find the rest of these memes, man. I'm just gonna make this a stupid news show, but I'm just where was that wonderful chart? I saw just a great chart on the history of dips in the Bitcoin network. Hold on, what have I got? No, I don't know. I'm not going to spend this whole thing trying to find a tweet, because that would be retarded. But anyway, yeah. Contrary to my previous video, we are now at the low point rather than the high point. So the energy is essentially the opposite, but the principles remain exactly the same. And principles are important. So buy Bitcoin for the fucking principle of the thing. Don't buy it for the hype. If you buy it for the hype, you will get slaughtered. And you don't want to get slaughtered. Not when it comes to money. Maybe when it comes to alcohol, if that helps you get through this. But you need to buy it for the cypherpunk principles. And if you didn't, this sucks. And if you did, and hopefully you're in a position to weather out the storm, and you have a job, then you can just carry on stacking, and you're going to get more Bitcoin. I've been getting Bitcoin as my salary, and every month I just get such a tiny amount of Bitcoin. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I could have bought this for $20 years ago when I was first in it, and now I have to work for a month to earn that much Bitcoin. That feels absolutely retarded. Now I'm going to get twice the amount of Bitcoin. It feels good. Like, if and when I need money, I can do what I need to do to get the money. I have income from various places. I can just about keep my head above water. I'm not allowed to travel anywhere at the moment, so thanks Canada for tightening my belt for me and not allowing me to do anything. That's great. That allows me to be even more frugal in this environment. My only issue at the moment is I want to mine more, but the trouble is, the lower the price of Bitcoin goes, the more of an opportunity cost there is in buying mining equipment. If you buy a $20,000 ASIC when you can buy, 60-70% of a Bitcoin for one of those ASICs. So what am I talking about? The ASICs only cost $20,000 on Compass mining. They're a lot cheaper if you buy them, properly, which should be about 13,000 or something. But right now, 13, 26, 39, 13, 26, 39. 3 miners is a whole Bitcoin you could have bought for that. Will 3 miners mine you a whole Bitcoin? Yeah, they absolutely will. But it will take a long time to do it, and you'll be paying a lot in electricity as well. So luckily where I am, electricity is really cheap. It's all hydroelectricity. It's super cheap out here. People like to complain about the price anyway, but they don't know what they've got. In the UK, when I used to mine Bitcoin, I think I mined like half a Bitcoin with a graphics card back in 2012, and I think it cost me like £100 in electricity to do it 1 month. So a half a Bitcoin, I could have bought a lot of Bitcoin for £100 in 2012. I probably could have bought 30 Bitcoins for that, and I mined half a Bitcoin using it. Like, this is what I mean about the opportunity cost of it. I wish I'd just bought £100 worth of Bitcoin instead. There was just no way to do it in the UK in 2012. They closed the only exchange we had, Intersango. The one bank that would do business with the Bitcoin exchange closed their doors to the exchange, and there was just no way to buy Bitcoin. But they had this stupid message up saying, we don't have any banking partner this week. We're going to have one soon. Don't worry about it. And they had that message there for a whole year, and I was like refreshing the page every morning. Like, do they have a banking partner yet? Then they just closed the business. I was like, huh? Okay, better wire money to Mt. Gox then. And by then it was 2013. And, we all know what happened in 2013. It was, we went from single to double to triple digits to quadruple digits. That's how crazy 2013 was. We went from below $10 to above $1,000 in 1 year. I mean, imagine how that roller coaster, I'll never forget it. It was one of the most painful, like exhilarating and just like awful and wonderful years I've ever been through. Everything since then has been mild. 2017 was a lot of fun because of all the fork dumping, but it was nothing like a significant for Bitcoin price. And 2021 rally was like a joke in comparison. Not like, yeah, we went up to $60,000, but who cares? Like the people that got involved were just, we had a lot of good entrants. I'm not going to dismiss them, but we also just had, 2017 we had ICOs in the crypto space, which were scammy and stupid and blatant violations of securities. And there was no redeeming feature to anything that happened in the entire ICO hype mania phase. And then 2021, how are we going to top the ICO nonsense with JPEGs of apes selling for millions of dollars? I mean, fuck it. So, yeah, hopefully we can just, I really would honestly like to see a crash down into the 20,000s now in Bitcoin. And just, this, let's go, even harder here. We're down 27% with Ethereum. Ethereum and Solana, I think, are the home of the NFT ridiculousness. So if we crash down again in Bitcoin, another, what would it be to go down to the 20,000? We need to crash another 20%. That's going to be amplified in Ethereum and Solana. So they'd be down 30, 40%, hopefully. That's got to be enough to crush those stupid things and get everyone out of those markets for good. Dogecoin has already been resolutely destroyed. It's down to 13 cents, Dogecoin. 13 cents. When Elon was pumping that thing, it was up around, when Saturday Night Live thing happened and everyone you knew was asking you how they could buy Dogecoin, it was up at 60, 70 cents at that point. Let's just look at the chart for fun. I can't resist it. Is this the US dollar chart, or let's check out the yearly chart? So here we go. Yeah, Dogecoin was at 68 cents. I think that was probably its highest point. There'll probably be something on here telling you its highest point. Almost 68 cents. And that's funnily enough, if you multiply if you add some zeros, Bitcoin's highest price was 68,000. So how low are we now on Dogecoin? 13.7 cents per Dogecoin. Is Bitcoin down at $13,700? Oh, absolutely not. Bitcoin has served far superior function as a store of value. I know it's it's a pretty, I don't want to compare against something so obviously stupid as Dogecoin. Bitcoin is in its own class, but the point is this thing was getting pumped by Elon Musk and so many people fell for it. I'd say millions of people fell for the Doge scam, and it's a tragedy, really. It really is. We're trying to do something decent here, Elon. I really wish we could do without your foolishness. But Doge is hopefully wiped out, is my point. I really would like to see Doge go below 10 cents, and then ideally below 1 cent, where it belongs, and then relegated to the graveyard of crypto. And it can just be another one of those coins that people talk about in the future and they laugh about. What was a good example? I guess we could talk about Bcash, BSV. Those are pretty dead, though. BSV exists in its own parallel world where you've got governments and courts acknowledging its scammy, controlling entity, the guy in charge of it, as being Satoshi Nakamoto, who he isn't. But that continues on in its own stupid world. But the market is a lot more honest than courts and politicians are, so the market has said BSV is dead. Let's take a look at it, actually. I would like to see how dead BSV is. But yeah, where's the graveyard of crypto? What else is dead? All of these are new. XRP is actually one of the oldest, to be fair. It was called Ripple back in the day, but it's called XRP now. It's still around, fair enough. As far as I can tell, they were going to get shut down with the SEC, and then they buried the SEC in paperwork to the point where the SEC is now just doesn't even know what to do with it. It's obviously an illegal security, but it would be easier for the SEC to just to let them off at this point, I think, which is absurd. But if you have enough money, you can get laws adapted to suit you. Anyway, where is that BSV? I think it's way low. I'd say Ethereum Classic's a good example. That's Ethereum. That's what Ethereum is. It just got abandoned by everyone and its name changed. But really, this is what Ethereum is. If we're talking about what Ethereum initially was launched to be, unstoppable code, that's what unstoppable code looks like. It looks like Ethereum Classic. Ethereum is the one where they stopped some code because they didn't like some of the code that was running on Ethereum, so they changed the whole network to stop the code from running on the network that's supposed to not allow stopping code. So I don't know what Ethereum is, but I know what Ethereum Classic is. It's what Ethereum was. I was actually interested in Ethereum back then, and then when the whole community abandoned the one thing it was supposed to be, I was like, well, fuck that then. That's a joke. So, you know, I never bought any, but at least I was genuinely interested in it. I wasn't as I didn't have the animosity towards Ethereum I do now back then. Like, even though I should have, I just hadn't done enough research into the scammy origins of the whole thing. Monero's down 30% this week. Horrific. Filecoin is down 36%. I can't wait for Filecoin to go. It's something like 11 terabytes a day worth of data you have to process to be a node on that network. It's totally centralized. Absolute nonsense. Like IOTA, another load of bullshit. BitTorrent token, totally unnecessary. You don't need to invent your own money to fund a product. You just don't. You can just use money that already exists. Why does every business have to invent a money now? It's stupid. There's no need to do it. It's just a stupid, like, you're going to start a bakery. All right, let's start Bakery Coin. Everyone has to pay in that. We give 10% benefits to anyone that does if they pay over. Just stop it. Just use dollars if you're just walking around in a shopping mall. Use Bitcoin if you're anywhere. That's the way to go. Here's Bitcoin SV. It's number 56 now. We're down to $89. Wow. You're the real Bitcoin. You're telling me you're the real Bitcoin at $89.80 versus not the real Bitcoin at $35,000. I love it when there's this is part of the advantage. Like, Andreas talks about the disadvantage of Bitcoin and crypto versus the internet bubble, the .com bubble. He said there was no actual price ticker for the internet itself, so you could gauge its growth and its success by other metrics, and you only had those other metrics, like how many websites were there, how many people were connected, how fast were internet speeds in various countries. That was how you gauged it. There wasn't a price of the internet, like hashtag INT or something like that. That didn't exist. With Bitcoin, it does. So Bitcoin will have infrastructure developments and nationwide adoption and legal, treatment that helps, and mining infrastructure get built in certain places, and but the price might drop 10% and everyone goes, oh, it's 10% weaker. Like, that's not how it really works, is it? It's more subtle than that. But the advantage that he sort of neglected to mention is that markets can give you really strong, powerful signals about what's real and what isn't, and what's valuable and what isn't. And in this case, I don't care if a court in the UK has come out and said Craig is the real guy who owns those coins. He's the real Satoshi Nakamoto. The market thinks you're a joke and a fraud, and they figured you out. We don't care what the court says. The market says you're worth $89 on your coin, and the real Bitcoin that we all consider real is worth $35,000. So, you're not doing very well there. I was scrolling down this list to look at some of these forgotten old coins. I guess you've got like Zcash and Dash, but even those were part of like a way later wave. What were all those coins on BTC-E? Those Dash, I mean, these are all still new. This is how forgettable those coins were. I mean, TerraCoin, that was one I remember. Then PrimeCoin, then feathercoin. There you go. I can't think of a more feathercoin. Yeah, it's still there. It exists. Does it have a number? All-time data. Let's take a look. Feathercoin. This is the fate of altcoins, my friends. This came out, Litecoin came out and was supposed to be the silver to Bitcoin's gold, and then Feathercoin came out and was supposed to be the bronze to Litecoin's silver. Once upon a time, back in the hype of 2013 that no one ever thought would come again, when Bitcoin went above $1,000 for the first time, Feathercoin followed suit and went all the way up to $1.31. And weren't you a genius if you bought at 10 cents and it went all the way up to $1.31. You outperformed Bitcoin. If you were one of the geniuses that managed to buy there and sell there, a complete scam, well done. You outperformed Bitcoin. But the distraction and the mental bullshit and the muddying of the water that you guys create when you do stuff like this drives me insane, because it's just such a waste of everyone's time. And what's the chances everyone else is going to do exactly what you just did here? They're not. You went against the grain and that's why you won. But everyone else gets scammed by these things. And look at what happened to it. Look at the future here. $1.31. What are we at now? Oh, we're under a cent. We're at 0.87 of a cent for a feather coin. The project is dead. It's absolutely dead. There's nothing left. What have we got here? Let's find some other ones of these nonsense. Prime coin, XPM. God, I remember all these things. Let's take a look now. Same fate. Look at this thing. No one talks about these coins anymore because they were a joke then, and but they're no bigger of a joke than any of the coins that exist on CoinMarketCap today that aren't Bitcoin. Sad truth. And that I don't include stable coins in that, by the way. They're their own thing, but they don't have really much of a future either, to be honest. Though, here we go. I can't select the high point here, but it looks like we were about $7 for a prime coin in the 2013 peak. Now what are we at? We're at 5 cents. Is anyone holding these things? Do you think anyone has actually held, like, even if you really bought this thing at the top and you were like, okay, this is like, I believe in this thing, and you held all throughout here and you held right to the peak here, you never made it back anything like as high to the previous highs. You're looking at like $4 here. You never made it anywhere near back to $7. And it's done worse every rally. Those were the first wave of shitcoins, was the 2013 Bitcoin bull market. Second wave was 2017, but for these coins, the things like Ethereum and all that didn't exist yet. So in the second wave in 2017, that bull market, things changed. We had a new wave of alts, and they had much better marketing departments. They were much worse as far as scams go, because they deviated a lot further from Bitcoin's design, and they'd invented a lot more features, and they'd placed a lot less priority on decentralization. So they were actually worse, but they had better marketing departments. So people actually were really into them, and people fell for it. That was the ICO hype. And so, yeah, this isn't exactly a good example, but let's take a look at the actual Ethereum chart. So, Ethereum to US dollars. 2017, I assumed, was its old peak. Now, if you bought Ethereum at $1,200 and you're now holding it at $3,000, I think in dollar terms you're still better off than if you'd bought Bitcoin at $19,000 and you were holding it now at $35,000. That might be right. You'd have doubled your dollar value exactly in Ethereum. 38. Actually, it's about the same. It's pretty similar. I'm just going to check that I'm sharing screen. Yeah, I am. So this is it. This should be Ethereum's final wave. If it isn't, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's my opinion of Ethereum is that it's the biggest, most crappy, evil project around. My opinion of Bitcoin is it's humanity's last hope of freedom before we descend into an absolute hellhole, tyrannical, authoritarian, nightmare global police state, because the technology for that to exist now exists, and the desire seems to be there on the large part of most populations. So I don't have much hope unless we can get freedom-enabling technology like Bitcoin out into the world and get it out there fast. So that being the case, if the worst comes to the worst when it comes to crypto, and we, like, let's play devil's advocate, let's say we really do get a flippening, let's say if the ETH heads get what they want, Ethereum becomes the supreme thing. There's a lot of reason for that. There's a lot of political pressure to make Ethereum a successful, I put that in quote marks, but the cryptocurrency du jour and the default thing for people to use, because Vitalik is cozying up to people like Putin, and he will make the network work as the powerful people that he liaises with would ask him to, because it's a centralized project. It needs the approval of the authorities, otherwise it will get crushed. And that being the case, it will do the bidding of the authorities, and that makes it a useful technology to the authorities if that's what everyone is using and that's what they're depending on. It will just become another one of these tools of the surveillance state and of the general control system we all live under, like big data has generally. It becomes basically just another form of big data. It's a CBDC by default, with some bells and whistles and some scams and all that, but it's also unwieldy and basically impossible to figure out. So I don't know. If that were to happen, though, if Ethereum were to become just dominant, and I don't just mean in market cap, I mean in transaction volume and all that stuff, it seems very unlikely because it scales so poorly, but if that all were to happen, nothing would really happen with regard to my faith in Bitcoin itself. It's just that I'd be so disappointed in humanity for not having recognized what we've got here on the table as an option. But I don't think that's going to happen, and I think you'd be unnecessarily pessimistic, like unrealistically pessimistic, masochistically pessimistic to think that was even an option. It's not going to happen. As far as I can tell, what separates Bitcoin from everything else is, are you going to go down with the ship or not? And I would go down with the Bitcoin ship. I have to. I don't think it's going to go down, but this is how I like to describe it. If there's enough people that commit to going down with a particular ship, those people make sure that ship is very, very difficult to sink, because they know they're not going to get off it if it does sink. So they make it fucking tough. They build that thing properly. That's where your source of security comes from. That's basically it with Bitcoin. It's not going to go down because there's too many people that have a vested interest and have committed everything they have to it, which means if it goes down, you can be sure that we tried our very, very best to make sure that wouldn't happen. That's not true in any other crypto project. It's not true in anything. It's not true in any business or institution at the moment. No one cares anymore. No one practicing medicine cares if their hospital goes out of, loses medical licenses. No one cares if doctors are found guilty of breaching the principles of the Nuremberg Code. No one cares if you're producing food that's toxic to people to eat. No one actually gives a shit about anything anymore, because everyone's just complying with the inevitable evil that I don't mean evil. What do I mean? Everyone is just in the business of satisfying the regulators and doing what they're told in order to be able to carry on doing what's comfortable to them. That's pretty much an indictment of humanity at the moment. No one is doing what they're doing for genuinely capitalistic reasons. Like where I live, pretty much everything you want to do is regulated so much that anyone you might buy something off doesn't work for you, the customer. They work for the government, trying to satisfy all of the rules and regulations they have to meet to be allowed to do what they want to do. So if you're one of the 3 companies where I live that's allowed to have a dairy license to produce milk and cheese and butter, to do it, you have to jump through so much government legislation that no one wants to do it. And you don't produce good quality milk or butter or cheese. The dairy is horrendously bad where I live because you don't work for me. You work for the government because you want a license to create dairy, and they will only give it to you if you do what they tell you to do. So take government out of the picture, reintroduce real capitalism again. Competition starts again. People start making good dairy. I buy the best dairy. If you want to sell me your dairy, you better make really good dairy. We don't have that around here, but we don't have that in anything. Like, you wanted a good education, you should have gone to that university instead of that one. No, that doesn't exist. The only universities that exist are the ones that just nonsense wokeism indoctrination camps. There's no education in any of these institutions. And the last few, like the sciences and maths, they're coming for them as well. Those are almost gone. I agree with Jordan Peterson there. Like, Every other study, English literature, sociology, anthropology, everything else, history, geography, all of these have been corrupted by nonsense political ideologies. There's no education left. It's just indoctrination and CRT and all this poisonous nastiness, race baiting and just... But there's a few sciences that are left, and they'll be gone in about 10 years if this carries up, which means higher education's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's like that scene from Good Will Hunting. You drop 300 grand on an education you could have got for $1.50 at a local library, and it would have been better. But well, they don't say it would have been better, but Good Will Hunting is quite an old movie now. What am I fucking talking about? I've been rambling for ages. I'm saying the fiat world we live in, no one works for anybody else. No one's responsible for anything because there's all these buffers and there's all this regulation to satisfy. And there's government in between everything you do. Everything you do has some sort of bit of government or red tape between you. So I don't know why I'm making that point, but it's true and it's the world we live in. So I'm hoping that things start to improve. Regardless, Bitcoin is around where it was a year ago. It hasn't really moved in 1 year. It's been a very strange bull market, and now it's going to be presumably a very strange bear market. 2014, 2018, and 2022 were always going to be bearish years if you believe the whole cycle thing with halvings and all that. I don't think they're really a factor anymore. Miners aren't selling their coins, so the sell pressure is just coming from people that aren't interested in Bitcoin, and miners are actually more committed to Bitcoin than anyone. They've made a big financial upfront cost to buy something that gives them no money in return immediately, and then it progresses into the future. Miners are really long Bitcoin, longer than people that would just buy and hold. I think mining takes real commitment. So they're not the people you got to worry about selling. It's not the halving that makes miners go, oh no, all those Bitcoins I was selling, now I'm only going to be able to sell half as many of them. They're not doing that. Miners are not the people you see dumping on the market right now. The people dumping, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there's a lot of people dumping that are just, everything else is down, right? Netflix was down 22% yesterday. It's not just Bitcoin, right? It looks like this. We have talk of higher interest rates and all this stuff, so the market has to shit the bed as hard and messily and as diarrhea as possible in order to make various phone calls happen from the White House to the Federal Reserve and to go, look, stop it, you're making the market shit the bed. And then they go, all right, fine, we won't raise interest rates by 0.1% or whatever dramatic move they were going to do. We'll leave it where it was. We'll even lower it, whatever. And then the markets go back to normal as a reward. And the rich carry on getting richer and the poor carry on getting poorer because inflation continues, and inflation is a tax on the poor. We all know that. It's not evenly distributed. Anyway, what the hell am I talking about? I don't even know. But go listen to Ian Jury's Reasons to be Cheerful, Part 3. There are plenty of them, yellow socks being one of them. What else am I talking about? Nothing really. Just defer gratification. Hold now. Definitely don't sell. Buy if you can. If you get your salary, enjoy getting more Bitcoin than you normally would if you get your salary in Bitcoin. And I'll see you back at the top. I will obviously make more videos before then, but we'll be back at the top sooner or later, guys. I would expect... I don't know. I'd expect the rest of this year to be weird, up and down. No one can really make head or tail of it. Every time it feels like it's going up, it gets smacked back down again. And every time it goes down, you're surprised by a rally upwards as well. If I do know that I can't buy any more right now, but if we fall into the 20s, I'm not going to be able to resist it. I will find stuff. I will sell stuff. I will get a second job. I will do whatever I need to do to be able to buy more Bitcoin because... in 2017, we won all the battles that might ever screw Bitcoin up, and now I feel like it's unstoppable. So I'm going to leave it at that. Speak to you all later, guys.